My name is Curtis Heiderink. I live in Jamestown, North Dakota, and I'm the program director of the Kishnu program. So I lived with a single mom who suffered from any addiction you can possibly think of. At a young age, I was actually homeschooled and manufactured methamphetamines with my mom at the age of 11. Fast-tracked into that life of drugs and the dealing and the stealing and that hardcore life. So that definitely shaped my ideology of what it's like, what a normal person is. So I thought that was what normal life was. So from there on out, I really took that life in and wanted to be the best version of that. I wanted to be my mother's child, right? I wanted to be the biggest drug dealer. I wanted to be, the most violent man. I wanted to be feared. I wanted all that. For many years, starting out at the age of 11, hardcore, I felt hopeless my entire life. No matter what I tried to do, I would always seem to fail, or I'd always wouldn't reach out for help, and I never knew there was help there. About the age of 20, just accept the fact this is my life now, and this is how I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna die soon. Being homeless for 5 years, being a non-existent father in my children's life. I grew up without a dad, and I always told myself that I would never let my children do that. And I was never in their life. I was never there financially, emotionally, mentally, any kind of support from their father. I was non-existent. Finally ending up in prison and having that time, that disconnect from putting drugs and alcohol in my body. I finally had time for the first time since I was 11 years old to feel feelings and to reflect and to look at my life and where it was. And that was at the age of 30. And I looked, and I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a retirement. I didn't have credit score. My children are growing up without a dad. And I think that having that disconnect, prison is what saved my life. Gave me that time to think about and reflect with a clear mind. And so when I'm getting out, it was either I'm going to do one of two things. Is I'm going to actually try this thing out, this recovery thing out, this sober thing out, and try to be somebody that I don't know, or I'm just going to go right back into what I know best, and I'm going to die. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was get sober, stay sober, and maintain. I didn't know how to be a productive member of society. I didn't know how to not break the law. I didn't know how to do. I can remember going to the grocery store and first time using a debit card. I didn't even know how to do that. That first year was very tough. Again, didn't have anything to make me not feel. So I was feeling feelings. I was experiencing life for the first time sober. It really, truly was scary. Really is what it was. Uncomfortable, but also at the same time of it being that uncomfortable and scary, it was rewarding because I didn't have to look over my back. I knew I had a place to sleep. I had these things in my life that started happening that I never thought as a child would ever happen in my life in that first year. And so I was definitely hooked on sobriety in that first year, but again, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. My first year, I lived in sober living, and that was the first environment that I truly had where I was able to build positive relationships. So I sought out support from the guys that I lived with in that sober house. I needed them. I needed somebody like-minded. I needed somebody to call me out. So I needed that kind of support, that raw accountability. The owner-operator of Sober Living, truly, she saved my life. She came in and was like that mother figure, and she showed me what love was, unconditional love, and she believed in me more than anybody has ever in my entire life, right? So that support was huge. But outside of that, like bank accounts, filling out job applications, job interviews, all that just didn't feel right. I felt so uncomfortable, right? So I needed somebody to walk me through that, and I found that through my sponsor in the 12-step program. He walked me through that life, and I don't think if it was for him saying, "Hey, this is how you do this, and we're going to go do it," I think I would have just turned and ran. So I'm 5 years clean. Actually, next month I'll be 6 years. The one thing I would tell somebody in active addiction, to not lose hope, don't give up. There is a better life out there, and just believe in yourself and trust the process.